Hey, it's time to start making plans to attend the premier true crime event of the year, CrimeCon UK. CrimeCon is the world's #1 true crime event, and if you're fascinated by all things true crime, you won't want to miss it. CrimeCon UK will be held on June 10th and 11th at the Leonardo Royal Hotel Tower Bridge in London. What is CrimeCon? CrimeCon is part education, part advocacy, part discovery, and 100% fun when you attend with your true crime obsessed friends. Don't have true crime obsessed friends or family? No problem. You'll find your tribe at CrimeCon UK. Attendees say that CrimeCon was not only the best weekend of their entire year, but they left with a great experience and new friends. Over CrimeCon weekend, you'll get up close and personal with true crime experts, learn from advocates for justice, and rub elbows with true crime stars and celebs, like documentary filmmakers, investigators, and podcasters involved with some of the most talked about true crime cases today. In the breakout sessions, you will delve deeper into cases and hear real-life stories directly from survivors and victims' families. And you won't want to miss one of the most popular features of CrimeCon, Podcast Row, where you'll meet all your favorite true crime podcasters and YouTubers from around the world. I'll be there again to meet you all, and I can't wait. So get your tickets today and mark your calendars for June 10th and 11th in London. Go to crimecon.co.uk to get more information and register. Use my offer code ONCEUPON for discounted tickets. CrimeCon UK, the ultimate true crime event.
This podcast details true crime cases. It contains adult themes and may contain descriptions of violence. It is not intended for children. Listener discretion is advised.
Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Once Upon a Crime. We're back. So we just had 1 week off, but I was so looking forward to this episode that it felt like a whole month, okay? We're going to have some fun, and at the same time, we're going to rock your world. And once again, my co-host and partner in crime is Mr. Leroy Luna, the host of the always entertaining and enlightening podcast, Excuse Me, That's Illegal. Hey, Leroy.
Hey, it's great to be back. We recorded the other one a week ago, and a week just flew by.
So for those of you who didn't listen to the last episode, and by the way, how dare you?
Yeah.
Leroy, we talked to Leroy a little bit about his podcast, and what he does on Excuse Me, That's Illegal is he gives us a hardcore look at softcore crime. Did I nail that, Leroy? Is that right?
Yeah. That was smooth.
Okay. Like it was segues, right? That's when you know you're professional in this business and you can segue.
Oh, big time. I just released an episode like a day ago. It's called What a Dummy. And it's about a couple people who they're obsessed with mannequins. They fall in love with these store mannequins. And there's some messed up people. It was pretty funny.
So that's a
I'm
thing.
not saying
huh?
I was funny, but just the fact that people are into that kind of thing. It's always amusing.
Did you know there was a movie called Mannequin, like back in the 80s, maybe early 90s? Did you ever hear about that one?
Yeah, I never saw that though, or at least I don't remember it.
Part of it was like that. It was like this guy. I don't know if he falls in love with the mannequin, but something about a mannequin that comes to life, but then it turns back into a mannequin, and it's like this girl that he's into or something. It was really weird. I don't remember the whole premise of it, but I remember it was something about this mannequin coming to life, but then she would turn back into a mannequin or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, there was a more recent movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Her, I think it was called. I don't know if it was a mannequin. He falls in love with something that's not real. Or there's another one, Lars and the Real Girl or something. I think it was was it Ryan Gosling?
I don't remember who was in that, but I remember watching that, and it was so weird.
Was that a mannequin? I didn't see it. I just
it was a blow up. It was one of those blow up dolls.
Oh, yeah, close enough.
And he brings her like it's his girlfriend, and they have to play along with it because he's kind of crazy, and they're trying to play. It's weird. It is worth that one watching. It's pretty strange, but that was a good one.
Yeah, watch that movie. Don't listen to my podcast. Just go watch that movie. You'll probably be more entertained. Ryan Gosling's much more handsome. If he's even in it. I don't even know if it was.
So I have to ask really quick about the mannequin episode. So there's crimes involved in this, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Well, the weird thing is, well, this guy, he would break into businesses and steal the mannequins, which it's like, okay, that's one thing. If you're, if you want to have sexual relations with a mannequin, like you could just order it and do it from the comfort of your home. But this guy, I guess that was part of his thing, was he wanted to rescue them. I don't know. He had a hero complex, maybe.
Oh, there you go.
And there was another guy who got drunk and stole one from a lingerie store. I think he was just horny. He couldn't pick anyone up at the bar, so
She wasn't going to say no.
Oh, this one was wearing stiletto heels and had these. I don't know. It was.
Well,
You have to listen to the episode.
it's one way to get a date, but we're recording this on Friday, so I'm saying if it was going out today, people would maybe have an idea what to do on the weekend if they were lonely. But
Yeah,
hopefully not that lonely.
exactly.
Thank God. So this month we're having a lot of fun with true crime. How? By giving you stories of ridiculous crimes and off-the-wall criminals, first of all. But we're also playing with the April Fool's theme by trying to fool each other. Not with pranks, but by seeing if Leroy and I can stump each other's true crime knowledge. Are we experts or are we just talking heads? You make the call. So this time we're going to test our serial killer knowledge, and you, the listeners, can play along. This is a game that I've been wanting to play since my good friend Brianna introduced it on her podcast way back in the day called Murder Dictionary. That was one of my favorite podcasts back in the day. Brianna's, there's a lot of episodes there, but I think it's on hiatus now. But yeah, they would play this game, Metal or Murder, because Brianna, like me, she's a big, music fan, and she knows a lot of like underground bands and all this kind of stuff. She's totally cool. I'm nothing like that, but she got me really interested in playing this game. And I asked her a while back if I could like kind of rip it off. She said, yeah, sure, go ahead. So this is why we're playing Metal or Murder. So the game Metal or Murder goes like this. I will be reading quotes to Leroy, and he'll have to guess whether they're actual quotes from serial killers or infamous killers, or if they're lyrics from metal or rock songs, basically. So you get the idea?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, luckily you have a super cool co-host here who's really into the whole heavy metal scene. No, I don't really know much, and I thought about studying some, but I was like, I'll just go with my instincts on this.
You gotta go with instincts. Because it can be difficult, even if you know anything, which most of us don't. I was gonna ask you that. So, do you have a lot of serial killer knowledge? And you said you don't have metal music knowledge. So, I guess the question is, how strong do you feel going into this challenge?
I'm feeling pretty confident. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I don't know if the knowledge sticks in my head. I have basic knowledge of the heavy hitters. I don't know about quotes though, if they really stick in my head.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, there's some that, I think that you can maybe guess, like just because of the tone of them. And there's others that I was like, I had to look, is that right? Did they really say that? And then there's some crazy ass, metal lyrics, of course, as you know. And let's play Metal or Murder. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to start with here? In the end, we all die. Nothing really matters. Is that a quote from a serial killer or a lyric to a song?
That sounds like Richard Ramirez or something. I'm going to say that's a serial killer quote.
Oh my God, you totally nailed it. That was Richard Ramirez.
Oh, it was? Wow.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay. If you believe you've lived your life the right way, then you do not have nothing to fear. Metal or Murder?
I feel like I've heard that before. I'm going to say Murder.
You're right. And take a guess. Let's see how good you are.
Oh, wait, what? Can you repeat that?
Yes. If you believe you've lived your life the right way, then you do not have nothing to fear.
That's Bundy. I don't know.
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Can't stand the guy. Must have heard it on a documentary or something.
Okay. Because I can't reason with men and mortal fools. They will die hard. metal, or murder?
Are we gonna have 3 murderers in a row? Probably not. I'm gonna say metal.
Yep, it's metal. It's a little poetic, but slightly. So yeah, that makes it. That was a song called "Die Hard" by Venom.
Oh yeah, pretending I know that.
Yeah, that one rocks.
Real bopping tune. Yeah, devil horns.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here's another one. If hell is what awaits me, I feel no fright.
Oh man. Uh, I feel like that would be a killer. I'm gonna say murder.
Nope, metal. Got one wrong so far.
Ah,
That
nice.
is, if hell is what awaits me, I feel no fright. That is lyrics from a song called "Call from the Grave" by Bathory.
Oh
Bathory.
yeah, that's why I've heard that song so many times. It just felt like a killer quote.
Oh my god. Okay, here's a good one. When this monster entered my brain, I will never know, but it is here to stay.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
So you're saying it's murder?
Unless is there a heavy metal band called Jeffrey Dahmer? That would be controversial, probably, right?
Oh man, I should have looked that up. I could have stumped you. I could have,
Yeah, really.
could have been both right and wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
when this monster entered my brain, I will never know, but it is here to stay. Metal or murder?
Okay, so I'll say murder.
Murder. That's Dennis Rader.
Ooh,
BTK.
BTK. Yeah.
Now this is the rest of the quote, just out of, just because I thought it was interesting. The rest of the quote goes, "How does one cure himself? I can't stop it. The monster goes on and hurts me as well as society. Maybe you can stop him. I can't." Crazy, right? He wrote a lot of shit after he went to prison. Like I could never stop talking once he started. You asked me to be blameless, but who are you to decide what's right?
Oh, wow. These are really good because I can see that both ways.
Mhm.
I'll say metal.
It's metal. I like that. You asked me to be blameless, but who are you to decide what's right? That's a song called Whitewashed by August Burns Red, which is a very,
Ah,
I think, obscure band I've never heard of. That's for sure.
yeah. That
Could be
definitely
wrong.
sounds like it sounds like something one of those killers could have easily said though, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Try to touch the past. Try to deal with the past. It's not real. It's just a dream.
I'll say metal.
Murder. And
Wow.
it's your favorite, Ted Bundy.
Oh wow, Ted Bundy.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That one I
Yeah.
hadn't heard before.
That was actually
Try
a
to
good
touch,
quote because he's had
try
some
to deal
pretty bad quotes where he's just saying, "Oh, pornography is what made me do it," or something ridiculous. It's like,
with some bullshit he came up with later. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Then he had that guy, he was like a Christian author or speaker or something. That what's his name? The James Dobson. I think it was James Dobson. Like he was, pretty well known here. But I think he's the one that went in and did that last interview with him, where he was all explaining his actions as how it was all the devil because it was pornography that, when he was young, he got into pornography and that caused him to have these dark fantasies and all this stuff. And it was so much bullshit.
Yeah, they try to blame obviously music, movies. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of blame being placed.
Name shifting. Yeah. It was weird because it was like a Christian organization. It wasn't like, I'm going to say just this guy, but it's like that was what they were kind of peddling to, like, parents and stuff, like, oh, make sure your kids aren't doing this and that and the other thing. And make sure that,
Yeah.
and then try to like, I think that's when all of the, what is that? The ratings came out on, the lyrics, like you have to put them on the albums, like says explicit content or whatever on the
Um,
albums. That
yeah.
that's while you're young, but that started like in the 90s. So we didn't
Yeah.
have that,
Well,
you know.
I remember my brother wearing one. This was yeah, it said parental advisory, explicit lyrics. This was probably like 1995 or 96. He was wearing that. So
Yeah.
obviously it wasn't brand new, but yeah.
Okay. Here's one. It's a little bit longer. So Existence is a great hall. Life is one of the rooms. Death is passing through the rooms, and the ever existent compulsion of everything is the curiosity to keep moving down the hall, through the doors, exploring rooms, down the never ending hall. Metal
Oh
or
yeah.
murder?
I was putting all this like metal music in the background while you were saying it. So I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go with metal.
That is murder. That is
Wow.
Dylan Klebold, one of the Columbine shooters, wrote
Oh,
that. Mhm.
wow. And he came up with that on
Yeah,
his own.
I
Interesting.
guess. Very. Okay, here's another one. Good things turn bad, bad things become good. The people on the earth see it as a battle they can win. Metal or murder?
Wow. Yeah, you were right. These are getting harder. Uh,
It
you had my confidence up when I got the first one right. I'll say murder.
is. That is also Dylan Klebold. And it's
Oh,
weird when he wrote this part, things become good. The people on the earth, and in people, he put in quotes. The people on the earth see it as a battle. Why is that in quotes? Like, that was
yeah, I
weird.
don't know. He's
Uh,
trying to be cool. He's a bit of a poet, and he didn't know it. Maybe he did know it. Yeah.
okay, here's another one. In my mind's eye, my thoughts light fires in your cities.
Ooh, cool. I'll say metal.
That is murder. That is Charles Manson. And he is a
Oh,
poet, and he didn't know it. Yep.
yeah.
He was a songwriter. But I think this is one of the crazy interviews he gave. Did you ever watch any of those from way in
Weren't they
prison?
all crazy?
Yeah, they were
Um,
super crazy.
I've watched bits and pieces.
Oh
Um,
my.
I don't know if I saw that specific one. Yeah.
I remember they did one and it was, and I'm not gonna say it was live, but it was, it was one of those, like it's say 20 or 60 minutes or one of those shows that
Yeah.
come out in prime time. And it was this whole like they went into I believe where was he at here? He was here in California, from what prison he was in. Chow is the women's prison. He wasn't in that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, they went into the prison and they did this interview. And oh God, was it
Geraldo?
I Geraldo? There
Was it
you go.
really?
See, I'm kind of thinking it might have been, or he might have done one of them because I mean, all of his interviews were just crazy. That guy was he's I don't know weird, but Charles Manson. So he's doing this interview, and I swear to God, he must have been in there talking to him for at least an hour. And he is so crazy, and I don't mean in like the mentally ill crazy. He's just crazy. Like he's just off
Yeah.
the wall. He's quirky. He's weird. I think part of it is some mental illness, but it's everything he says is like a word salad, right? But
Oh
then
yeah.
there's
He's got a real like rhythm to him, and he's all like moving around and yeah.
he's like sitting on his like he's like sitting on the chair, like his feet are under him, like and then he's bouncing, he's like that. It's like you have a 4-year-old in front of you, like that kind
Yeah.
of energy.
And
And then
every
he
once in a
goes,
while he comes up with some good stuff.
yes,
I guess
that's
if you
exactly.
talk that much, eventually you will.
Yeah. But once in a while, there'll be a moment of clarity in there. And you're like, whoa, what did you say?
Yeah, really.
Okay. Here's one. Why don't you take my mind? Because you already own my life.
Oh wow. Murder?
That is metal. It's
Wow.
a song called Sick Minds by the Browning. Never heard of them either.
No.
Okay.
Man, I'm gonna have to put a playlist together after this.
I know, right?
A mixtape.
Okay. Here's one. The throes of insanity feel just like a war inside you every day.
Wow. Metal?
That is metal. That is Chasing Death by Slayer. I love Slayer. So that one's a
Oh,
good one.
Slayer. Okay, I've heard of Slayer, but
Yeah. Yeah. We're more mainstream as far as metal.
yeah. You got any Metallica or anything? Uh,
Yeah. We're more mainstream. I'll own it. I don't know a whole lot of the obscure bands. I have to go to like Justin and Aaron from Gen Y for that kind of stuff.
yeah.
They're like metal snobs. They're like, oh, you listen to that? Like,
Yeah, really.
that's cool.
You got to find
I
the
know.
real underground stuff.
They're
It's like, I
hindering
don't have
you.
the time.
I know, right? Oh God. Okay. You cannot kill what you did not create.
Ooh, that's good. That sounds like something a murderer would say.
It does, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
it's not. Well, maybe. The guy from Slipknot is a murderer, which, who knows. That's a song called Duality by Slipknot. I like
Okay.
Slipknot too.
I've heard of Slipknot. There's actually
yeah.
there was a kid in my son's 8, right? And yeah, there's some greasy kid in his class who came out with like a Slipknot shirt. I was thinking, yeah, your parents must be cool, buddy.
Would you like to receive texts from Once Upon a Crime? You can opt in by texting OUAC to 408 676 1770. That's the letters OUAC to 408 676 1770. You'll receive texts alerting you to new episodes, special giveaways, true crime trivia, and more. The information is in the show notes as well as on our website, truecrimepodcast.com. Text messaging is provided by TextSanity.com. Text message rates may apply. Okay, here's another one. What is this that I can see? I see hands taking hold of me, for death has come. You all can see.
Ooh, that sounds like an Albert Fish quote. No, I don't know. I'll say murder.
It is murder, but it sounds like it rhymes, that was one of the things that I was looking for the lyrics. So I can't find things that rhyme because it's going to be too. This one rhymes because it was a poem written by BTK.
Oh,
and
wow.
This one was one that was sent to the television station in 1978, one of those things when he was taunting the cops and the media and stuff like that.
Before he sent the floppy disk. You guys can't read a floppy disk, can you?
Whatever no, sure we
can. Can't trust anyone these days.
Oh, God. Okay. I made my fantasy life more powerful than my real one.
Oh, that's a good one. That sounds like it's something a murderer would say. I'd say murder.
You're right. Can you take a guess who? In my fantasy life more powerful than my real one. It could have been any of them, really, right?
Yeah. I'll say Dahmer. I don't know why.
Yep. Nailed it.
Nice.
Dahmer. Okay. Powerless, you crawl like pigs, soon to be slaughtered.
Ooh. That's definitely Metallica. Love that song. What song was that again? Yeah, I'll say metal.
Murder. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. It's metal. Oh my God. And the reason I wanted to read because I just like the name of the song and the name of the band. The name of the song is Carving Out the Eyes of God. Ooh. And the band's name is Goat Whore.
Wow. Oh, Goat Whore.
I think that's a like black metal band or something.
Yeah.
That's way deep in there.
Badass name. Yeah.
If any of you guys are a fan, let us know.
Yeah, what Goat Whore
album covers look like? I would like to know. What do the album covers look like? Oh my God. Stay away, I am evil, or you will die by tomorrow.
I feel like that's too obvious to be a murder. I'll say metal.
Yeah, metal. That's On a Night of a Full Moon by the band Merciful Fate. Okay, Is there any last ones that were really good that I didn't say? Satanists don't wear gold.
Satanists don't wear gold. That's a killer quote right there. Yeah, I'll say killer or murder.
Yep. Take a guess. Who?
Your buddy Eddie Kemper.
Who is a Satanist? I'm giving you a hint.
Charles Manson.
He thought he was God. He didn't think he was Satan.
Oh, jeez.
He thought he was Jesus.
True.
Yeah.
I can't think. Oh, Richard Ramirez.
Yep, Richard Ramirez. Yep. Satanists don't wear gold. I don't know. Yeah.
Never heard that one.
Emma found that one. I'm like, I hadn't heard that one either. Yeah. So she went down some rabbit holes probably. Last one. I danced with the devil and almost fell. I felt death's grip and fuck, is it tight?
Ooh. Wow, that sounds. It couldn't be Richard Ramirez again. Fuck, that's tight. Yeah, I don't know. I can't die.
That is metal. Dragged Through the Inferno by Immortal Disfigurement is the name of the band.
Wow.
So yeah. So now we can just let loose with the expletives there, Leroy. Yeah, I mean it is, we are talking about rock and roll, so there's got to be some of that in there, right? It's got to be. Okay. So that is it for Metal or Murder. You did pretty good there. I think I didn't keep score. If somebody else did, and they could let us know. They could let us
Yeah,
know.
let us know. I
But
think
yeah,
I
you
was
did.
about 50-50. Yeah, it was getting pretty rough there.
Yeah.
You mixed them up well. If you don't mind, I wouldn't mind trying to stump you, Esther.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
I
I'm
have
sure you will.
some yeah, my brother and I on my Patreon. I'm not trying to, get people to go to my Patreon or anything, but it's just kind of a fun game we play. I try to do sort of the same thing where I try to stump him with quotes. For example, I had like Richard Ramirez or Richard Simmons. And the key there is, Richard Simmons, right?
Yeah, the exercise dude
Yeah,
wearing the short,
exactly.
right?
So it's kind of hard, but you try to find a sleazy quote from him, right? That would try to throw you off. I've also done Ted Bundy or Ted Danson, so I try to do stuff like that. But I thought with this whole music theme, I do have some Charles Manson and some Marilyn Manson quotes,
Oh, that'll be hard. Okay. You
and
saved the gun for me.
yeah, it's kind of interesting because, well, apparently Marilyn Manson, I had to look it up. Like I know his name's because I don't really follow Marilyn Manson that much, but he was born Brian Hugh Warner, and apparently he came up with the name by mashing together Marilyn Monroe and Charles Manson. I thought that was just a rumor, but apparently that's true. So, I mean, I guess he's kind of into Charles Manson a bit, so that's cool. But
Yeah.
there's been a lot of allegations of some sexual abuse and stuff like that coming out. I don't really follow Marilyn Manson that much, but
Yeah.
he's been in some trouble lately with his past. So, he's dabbling in the crime community a bit. And then, of course, like Charles Manson, famous cult leader, he was also musically inclined, right?
Yes, he was a songwriter. Yeah.
Yeah,
He actually knew the some of the Beach Boys and wrote
yeah,
some songs for them or tried to give them some I mean they actually did hang out with them a little bit. At least a couple of them did.
yeah. Brian Wilson, I think, or something was one of them. But
Mhm.
yeah. So these guys have kind of crossed paths a bit, and they both said some kind of cool stuff. Love them or hate them.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll go with the first quote here. When all of your wishes are granted, many of your dreams will be destroyed.
Um, I'm gonna say Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, that's a Marilyn Manson quote. So I try to make my voice deeper because I don't know. Did Charles
I
Manson
don't know.
have a deep voice?
No, I don't think so. He was a really small guy. Remember when they finally caught him? He was hiding in a little cabinet under a sink.
God.
He's
Yeah.
tiny.
5'2", 5'2", I think, and also skinny too. So
That's how tall I am. So that's pretty. You can't reach the top shelf. I know that.
yeah, you and Charles Manson, plenty of similarities, but that's just one of them, the height, right? Okay. Don't treat the dogs like people. Treat the dogs like dogs. They are better than people.
Oh, that kind of sounds like Charles Manson.
That was Charles Manson. Yeah, you're 2 for 2.
Okay, cool.
Okay. A long time ago, being crazy meant something. Nowadays, everybody's crazy.
That's got to be Charles Manson, right?
Yeah, it is. I thought that was actually a pretty good one.
That's a good one. I could hear him say it too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm not a role model. I'm a role villain.
Oh, geez, that could be either one. Would Manson, I mean, would Marilyn call himself a villain? Hmm. I'll try Charles Manson.
Ooh, it was Marilyn.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Is
Guess
that a
he
lyric or is that something just said?
That's a good question. I don't know if any of these, yeah, I just saw that I just looked up Marilyn Manson quotes, but yeah, that's
Okay.
a good point. It could be from a song, but
Yeah.
I guess he was villainized in the media. Like I went to high school 96 to 2000, And I guess that
Mhm.
was sort of like the Columbine stuff was going on too, and he was pretty villainized in the news.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You're right. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Look down at me and you see a fool. Look up at me and you see a god. Look straight at me and you see yourself.
Now I know I've heard that before, and I have listened to some Marilyn Manson, so no, I don't know. Oh, but yeah, I can kind of hear Charlie saying this because he liked to have these little quotable things to say in the middle of all this word salad, like I was talking about. I'm gonna say Charlie Manson.
Yeah, you're right. That was Charles. Yeah. Could have easily been a quote from like the beautiful people. All right, that was
Yeah,
yeah. You're doing well. Scott,
yeah,
I think you're 4 for 5 or something. Okay.
yeah, something like that.
We live in a society of victimization where people are much more comfortable being victimized than actually standing up for themselves.
I'm gonna have to say Marilyn Manson because I don't think the victimization. I think that's a newer kind of term, maybe. So I'm gonna say Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, that was Marilyn Manson. That's a good theory. Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie's old, or was
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, really.
He's not getting any older now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He lived a long time though.
Yeah,
He's
man.
in his
You
80s. What a
liked it there.
lifestyle.
Prison did well.
Okay. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a character being written or if I'm writing myself.
Oh, geez. Um, Charles Manson?
Marilyn Manson.
Ah,
Like I wrote Marilyn Manson there, and I'm like, I swear, was that Charles Manson? Did I mess that one up? I'm pretty sure it was Marilyn Manson that said that though.
somebody
I,
Google
I
that
think
and
I,
let us know.
I think I included it because I'm like, that definitely sounds like something Charles Manson would say, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, no, yeah, that was a good one.
okay. Living is what scares me. Dying is easy.
That's got to be Charles Manson,
Yeah, totally,
right?
Charles. Yeah,
I wonder if that was when he still was under the death penalty, because like
yeah,
he
I know
got
because
death penalty, and then yeah, they well, California just abolished it for a few years, and then it came back. But in that
yeah,
time, everybody who had gotten their sentence were commuted to life in prison, which is weird. So I wonder if that was when he was still under the death sentence. That would be interesting.
yeah.
Trying
That's
to act
totally sounds
bad,
like an
like he's not
interviewer,
afraid of, yeah.
like
Trying to act
somebody
all bad, like
asks.
he's not afraid of the electric chair because it
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
electric chair back
exactly.
then. It's crazy. Electric chair, man. That's brutal.
Yeah, what a way to go. Oh, that was it for those. Little
Okay.
anticlimactic. I should have said that was the last one. Yeah, you did very good. I think you got like 8 out of 10 or something.
Oh, cool. Well, those, yeah, and those aren't, most of them weren't easy. I'm a good guesser. I'll put it that way.
Are
Kept
you
me in
familiar with the band Nickelback?
a little bit.
I have a story here. It says Florida man arrested for pretending to be Nickelback drummer. So, yeah, it says this is how you remind me. That's part of some lyrics from a song that you shouldn't want to be mistaken for a member of Nickelback, especially if you plan to use his identity to order a bunch of musical equipment. So the TC Palm reported that police in Port St. Lucie, Florida, arrested Lee Howard Koenig Tuesday on 2 felony fraud related charges. This was in 2017. So this 45-year-old was accused of using Nickelback drummer Daniel Adair's identity and trying to purchase approximately $25,000 in gear. According to an affidavit, Adair's identity was used to fraudulently order drum parts from a company in Vienna, Austria. Shout out to what's his name, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Several microphones were also ordered, according to the affidavit. Essentially, we placed the order in Austria. I guess at this level of band, you have a lot of people that work for you, Detective Paul Griffith said of the alleged fraud. One of the people one of the people in his group thought it was out of the ordinary when they were getting contacted as to confirming the order. So this Koenig guy allegedly identified himself as Daniel Adair with Nickelback and said he was looking for some microphones and tried to place an order via an email. And yeah, this guy was also he was in jail for 3 years for fraud in 2009. So
So
I
what
don't
year
know. It
was
made
this?
me think. Sorry,
What year did he do this?
2017.
Okay, well, wasn't Nickelback way past their prime in
Oh
2017?
God.
I
They're
would think
still
so.
around now. They were very popular, maybe 2002. I remember.
Yeah, that's what I say. I thought they were way earlier than that. So it's like, why would he pick that guy? Was it because nobody's gonna know who he is? Or
Yeah, it is pretty random to choose that guy, right? But yeah, that made me think that that's sort of a decent scam, though, right? Because
Mhm.
these guys have a lot of different handlers and stuff, so it could kind of get lost in the mix if you were just like, oh, I'm gonna order $25,000 worth of
Yeah.
microphones, and like one of his people might just be like, okay, yeah, whatever. Just I don't know, sending it to Austria might throw up a red flag, right? I don't know if they have any links to Austria, but yeah,
Yeah,
he tried and
that's just yeah, that's good. So I'm trying to picture like, did he have to call them, send them an email? I think you said email, right? You did it by
yeah,
email. Okay, so how do you do? Like, I'm just wondering because you could use any random name, right? I mean, what was the thing that did he say? Hey, this is whatever that guy's name was again, from Nickelback. How are you today?
yeah,
I'd like to order some microphones. Like, how do you like, how do you roll out that scam? Like, that's just my
yeah.
question.
That is
Weird.
kind of weird. It didn't go into
Have like the
detail about
Nickelback
that.
logo on his email or like,
Like, come on, you know me. I'm Daniel Adair from Nickelback. Like, I don't know. He could have picked someone a little more famous, maybe. It's my first
yeah.
time hearing of him, but
Oh, that's so funny. That's weird. Yeah,
yes,
that's weird.
that's some of a taste of a badass crime you might hear about on Excuse Me, That's Illegal.
Thank you for listening. One other way you can support the show is by becoming a Patreon member. For as little as $2 per month, you can get all new episodes of Once Upon a Crime ad-free and hear them before anyone else. Patrons are OUAC superfans, and we show our appreciation for your support by giving you bonus episodes you can't hear anywhere else, as well as exclusive OUAC merchandise sent to you as a thank you. To find out more and join, go to patreon.com/onceuponacrime. There's also a link on our website, truecrimepodcast.com. Thank you so much. Okay, so the last thing I was going to do here was, we read you some lyrics from songs and stuff and talked a little bit about rock and how it had gotten blamed for some things. And there's been a lot of that. I mean, that started way early on. That started with like Elvis and friggin' Little Richard and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
there was like, oh, this is
shaking
the
those
devil.
hips, shaking those hips is driving the guys wild. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's going to corrupt your children and all this kind of stuff. Well, then of course, as music evolved, and you got some. There was a lot of lyrics that I found. When I was looking at like black metal music lyrics and stuff. Man, those are just gross. They're just gross. Like if you ever look those up, man, I was like, I don't want to read those. It's just a lot of
yeah,
bodily fluids and like cannibalism and shit. It's like no thanks. I don't know if I want to deal with that right now so early in the morning. So
yeah,
I found some that were a little bit more tame, but even those we've had this history of people blaming them for metal, rock, music, all this stuff for crime, for all kinds of things. So it's pretty much gotten a bad rap. It's been blamed for really any number of social problems like drug use, high school dropout rates, vandalism, teen pregnancy, which is weird. But especially it's gotten blamed for violence and even murder. So I'm going to give you some real life examples of how rock and metal lyrics were blamed for real crimes. And this comes from an article called 10 Heavy Metal Bands That Were Blamed for Seriously Heinous Crimes. And this was by Michael Burden for an online, I think it's like a band website, like, like a music website called The Pit. Okay. And this just was just recently. So should have a pretty good little variety here. Okay. And I'm gonna read some of his writing because he's funny. So the first band that got a bad rap was AC/DC. And I'm a big AC/DC fan. I've seen them not back in the day, but when they were old men, but they're still good.
Yeah.
They're still good. They're still good. He writes this. He's talking about talking about this, how they got blamed. It says, worst fan ever. Infamous serial killer Richard Ramirez was an avid fan of Australian hard rockers AC/DC. The Night Stalker, it says, it was claimed by police that he was known to regularly wear an AC/DC t-shirt and left a hat with the band's logo at one of the crime scenes. I believe it was that very first one. It was in the garage when he like ducked in when that girl was getting out of her car, and then he hid and then went into the house. That was super creepy. That was a super creepy
rings
story.
A bell for sure.
Because I think when he was trying to get, like she was closing the garage door, and as he was ducking under it, it fell off, and it was dark, and I don't think he saw it. He didn't find it or whatever. So yeah, that was there. It says the notoriety of Ramirez brought terrible publicity to the band, which became the target of parent groups in Los Angeles. So that kind of makes sense. But I don't know, like AC/DC is pretty tame, to be honest.
Yeah, they're pretty mainstream in that way.
Yeah, that's weird. So that was but it was quite a while back. So maybe that was hardcore back in those days. Oh my God, this one. And I was surprised to see this one on the list. Linkin Park. Now, you know anything about Linkin Park?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you anything about them, but like I know some songs and stuff. They're popular when I was in high school. I was never a huge fan, but
yeah, they're popular probably like the early 2000s. So this says Colorado serial killer and total fucking loser, Richard Paul White. This is what he wrote. Which I didn't know. I'll tell you about this guy because I didn't know anything about him. Richard Paul White has confessed to killing 6 people, 3 of which have been confirmed. He became known as the Linkin Park Strangler after comments he made from jail stating, quote, I would listen actually to Linkin Park before I would kill. And while I was killing, usually that music, Linkin Park, was on, end quote. He's from Colorado. Linkin Park is in Chicago. So, okay.
Yeah.
Like he does Linkin Park. When I said Linkin Park Strangler, I thought it was going to be in the Chicago area, right? Like he's in Colorado. So that didn't make any sense.
It's just kind of like whatever. You can't control what people find inspiration from, right? Like somebody could have invented something while listening to Linkin Park. I don't know. They could have found the cure. Or it was just
playing
cancer.
all the time. It was playing all the time. That just happened to be on. It wasn't like he picked it, right?
On the radio, yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I found out about Richard Paul White, just real quick. Richard Paul White was called Denver's Linkin Park Strangler. See right there, that's confusing to me. Denver's Linkin Park Strangler. Between 2001 and 2003, White strangled 2 women and shot a male coworker. The women's bodies were later found buried in a backyard. He was sentenced to 3 life terms for murder, rape, and torture. He was also sentenced to 144 years behind bars for sexual assaults on the other women, 3 other women, on 3 other women who survived. So, wow. Yeah. So I didn't know anything about that guy. It's weird.
Sounds like a real fucking loser. Yeah, no, I never heard of that one either. That's interesting.
Now here's a band who's been blamed a lot of times, which I'm like, how dare you? Is Metallica, because I'm a huge Metallica fan. So here's a couple of examples of that. In 2002, a New Jersey man named Robert Pittich bludgeoned his mother with a dumbbell after she refused to buy him cigarettes. Later in the day, he randomly encountered an 11-year-old boy who he stabbed to death. Pittich had struggled with mental illness for years and claimed that Metallica's 1996 song Ronnie was a key component in his downward spiral, saying, quote, I was drinking and I was out of it. That song was always in my head too. There was just so much pressure building up. I caved, end quote. Now, that's not even like a really popular song of theirs, right? It's just one of those songs that's kind of B-side or something,
Oh, man. He's really stretching for an excuse there. Like that's some brutal murders there, right? Like, I don't think I've ever listened to that Ronnie song, but geez.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna make, I would just listen
Yeah,
to it and be like, okay, move on with my day.
right, exactly. Not grab a dumbbell, can't get cigarettes. It's like, geez. Yeah. Oh, and another one, of course, this one you probably heard of, Chris Watts. He's the one that killed his wife and two daughters and put him in the oil drum thing. Yeah. Okay. Metallica was also cited as an inspiration for the aforementioned Richard Paul White, and they were dragged into the triple murder case of Chris Watts. It says because that asshole Googled the lyrics to Battery before he killed his family. And then there was that time. Okay, so that's one of them. And yeah, as a matter of fact, I covered kind of like the remember that documentary that came out that had all of the video and stuff of him and his wife and the police when they came to the house and all that kind of stuff. Forget what it was called, American Murder or something like that. And we Lauren and I talked about that one. But yeah, because he was a big Metallica fan. And as a matter of fact, his wife, who he killed, who was not in any of that kind of music, she kind of splurged and got Metallica tickets and took him to a concert. I mean, that kind of shit. It's like, this guy's an asshole, man.
Yeah.
And then he did it. It was on his computer, his laptop or something, was that he had pulled up the lyrics to Battery, which of course, it's one of the lyrics is Battery cannot kill the family. Battery is found in me. So it says cannot kill the family. So he didn't.
Yeah, really. Apparently he misheard that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he Googled it after. I don't know. But he was off the wall there. There's a couple other ones. He's the worst. And then there was that time that Morgan Harrington went missing after a Metallica concert and was later found dead. So like, Metallica fan, they're like immediately Metallica fans killed him or some crap like that. I don't remember exactly.
I mean, that could happen at a Taylor Swift concert or something. You know what I mean?
Like any concert, yeah. and then there was the West Memphis thing because I mean that was back in Satanic Panic days. They were like, oh, Metallica, because I guess I don't remember if it was Damien or the guy used to wear Metallica t-shirts or something. So
yeah.
It just says some bands have all the luck. And there's two more. Ozzy Osbourne, of course. Ooh. This is interesting because there was actually a lawsuit filed against Ozzy in 1985. In 1985, the parents of John Daniel McCollum filed a lawsuit against Ozzy and CBS Records, claiming that the song Suicide Solution from Blizzard of Oz inspired their son to take his own life. The song, which featured lyrics such as "Where to hide, suicide is the way out," was placed under scrutiny, yet the case was ultimately dismissed. According to Ozzy, the song is about AC/DC's Bon Scott, who died of acute alcohol poisoning in 1980. So that was interesting. But this is the part I thought was kind of funny. Don Arden, Sharon Osbourne, that's his wife, Sharon Osbourne's father and Black Sabbath's former manager, said this about the lyrics. And I wish, even though Ozzy didn't say this, some reason I'm hearing this in Ozzy's voice, which you can't even decipher most of the time. But he says, to be perfectly honest, I would be doubtful as to whether Mr. Osbourne knew the meaning of the lyrics, if there was any meaning, because his command of the English language is minimal.
Oh, come on, man. I only kind of remember him from the reality show when he's obviously out of it now. He's like, Sharon.
He's always been that way.
Yeah. Oh, even when he was younger? When he was
20, he was always the same. It may be worse now, but pretty much the same.
Oh man, I think he snorted a line of like fire ants or something. Like he's done a lot of weird things.
He's trying to show off to Motley Crue. Motley Crue was his his opening band like way back in the day, and he's trying to show off because these young rockers, let me show them how to party.
Jeez.
He's a madman. Yeah. But his English language is minimal. He's British. I mean, he's English. He's like English. I'm like, what is he saying? It's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can't speak, but I don't know what that means. But yeah. Okay, last one. This is about the band Slayer. In March of 1996, 15-year-old Elise Pollar's body was found near her California home. She was sexually assaulted and murdered 8 months earlier by acquaintances Jacob Delaschmidt and Joseph Fiorella and Royce Casey, who periodically returned to the course to have sex with it. According to the perpetrators, they needed to commit an act of human sacrifice in order for their band, Hatred, to possess the craziness to, quote, go professional. Now,
Uh,
that is some crazy shit, like these guys, I don't know what they were into, but that was nuts.
yeah. It couldn't just
Then,
be like talent alone, right? That would get you
no.
there. It's like,
Yeah, there's this thing that these people that go down, it was like I just did one about this couple that they killed this guy because they thought, oh well, then we're sacrificing something to Satan, and then he'll make us immortal kind of thing. So there's this weird, I don't know where this comes from, but there's this weird belief, and there was a whole lot of thing in that episode that that kind of vampire stuff and becoming immortal and Satanism, and it was tied to like this very like obscure like black metal music. So it's just really odd, and it was all in Germany too, which you can kind of see a little bit. But this was in California. These people were crazy. And Slayer's American, right? I don't know. I don't know where people
bro,
come from.
definitely not Canadian.
Okay, so this lawsuit says Pollard's parents claim that several songs from Slayer's Seasons in the Abyss, with the songs Postmortem and Dead Skin Mask cited in particular, gave the killers instructions to, quote, stalk, rape, torture, murder, and commit acts of necrophilia on their daughter. They have attempted to sue Slayer twice, with both cases quickly dismissed. One of the killers, Jacob Delaschmidt, said in a later Washington Post interview, quote, the music is destructive, but that's not why Elise was murdered. She was murdered because Joe Fiorella was obsessed with her and obsessed with killing her. So he must have come clean later on, like, yeah, it was all bullshit. Like, this was just this guy, we followed along, I guess. I mean, that's always weird to me where you get these multiple killers doing this stuff together. It's like, it's weird enough for one person to come up with these,
Yeah.
ideas, but let's get the whole gang involved. It's just really weird.
Yeah, that is crazy. Maybe it's a
Mhm.
dominant personality that just gets people to go along with it. But yeah, to find another person that's that crazy to actually go along, like to go through with something, like people
Mhm.
do a lot of talking, right? But to actually follow through with something like that, it's hard to find
Yeah.
another person to go along with it.
Oh yeah, it's like you talk about like the Columbine killers and other ones. There's always one you're right that they say is dominant, and it'll say like if they had never met, this would have never happened. Like this guy might have done something, you know, but maybe not to that extent. It was they kind of fed off each other, that kind of thing. And I think they'll say things like it was just like this perfect storm of these two people coming together at this time, and that otherwise the other person might have thought about it and whatever, but never done anything, never acted upon it unless they had this other person.
Yeah, it happens with
Like
couples as well.
yeah, like Minds of Madness. I'm just listening to their latest episode that just came out this week. Was Leonard Lake and Charles Ng, the killers up here in Northern California. They were the serial killers that had that torture shack and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff. I remember reading about them a long time ago, and it's interesting because he's talking about that, like how they met and who each one was separately, and then who they were together, kind of thing. Yeah, it's really weird. It's a very odd thing.
it's also crazy because now that you have the internet and stuff, it's easier to find like-minded people than it used to be. So that might happen even more often now. You find people that are interested in the same stuff, and who knows what can snowball from there though.
Yeah, exactly. That's I guess maybe that's why they talk about like lyrics and things, or even not just lyrics, but like people that are out there that have these things to say, and then people start following that because, like you said, the internet's easy access to all kinds of ideas about stuff, good and bad. So then you find this whole group of people that are into that. And now, before you know it, they're chatting with each other online, and now they're finding, you find the worst one to connect with.
Oh,
The worst ones
I know.
connect or something.
Even
you
now,
know
like say you go on TikTok or anything, like there's an algorithm. So you look up one thing and then you think like the whole world's talking about this, like, oh, the vaccine or like, anything like that. You start looking up a few things and then like everything on your feed is about that. And
yeah,
yeah, it really helps you become obsessed with certain issues.
yeah.
I'm not a fan.
The only
Yeah, I
thing
don't
I
like
get
how
on
that goes.
the only thing I get on TikTok is videos about French bulldogs doing funny things, and
Yeah, it's weird though. Like sometimes you'll watch one thing, like I'll watch something about I don't know, just a chef, reviewing something. Next thing I know, like every other thing is just Chefs. Yeah. You watch this guy shaving his butt for like a couple seconds too long, and all of a sudden you're in this crazy world.
Yeah. You're like, what else am I going to say? Oh, no, never mind. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
It's all dangerous out there, Leroy. So that's why we do what we do. Just we're just warning you guys. We're a public service announcement. That's all we are here.
Don't shoot the messengers.
Oh, that was cool. Anything else you got before we wrap it up?
No, not really. That was fun.
And so we've got one more we're going to do. And this one we're going to really just concentrate on some criminals, right? We're going to do some criminals who maybe weren't the best at their craft. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, there's so many of them too, right? Yeah, I can't wait.
I know. So that one's going to be really fun. So that's next week. But yeah, thanks once again for tuning in. And thanks once again to you, Leroy, for helping me out here this week. And making me look better than I am, because I was able to actually do pretty well in that guessing game.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, if we should pat you on the back or that I just did a poor job. We'll say that you're a master, I guess, at the craft.
Yeah, master guesser. Yeah. Like you said, 50-50 shot. So let's not pat ourselves on the back too hard.
Yeah, really.
It's not that difficult. All right. Well, thanks. Thanks again. And we'll see you next time then.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Once again, I'd like to thank Leroy Luna for co-hosting this episode. Check out his hilarious podcast, Excuse Me, That's Illegal, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Links are in the show notes. Follow us on all our social media channels, including TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also watch us on YouTube. All the links can be found on our website, truecrimepodcast.com. Don't forget to get your tickets to CrimeCon in London to meet me on Podcast Row. Go to crimecon.co.uk to get all the info and register. And don't forget to use our offer code ONCEUPON to claim your discount. I'll be back next Monday with another April Fool's episode, and I hope you'll join me then. Once Upon a Crime is written and produced by me, Esther Sanchez-Ludlow. My production assistant is Lorena Garcia, and additional research for this episode was provided by Emma Battaglia. Until next time, be good to one another.